Hi, my name is Tatiana and my channel is Created by Lady T. And today I want to talk about crochet needles. So there's a lot out there, and I want to give you this is some of my collection of crochet needles. Oops, I'm dropping them over here. And I just want to talk a little bit about the different crochet needles and what works for me, and how it may work for you, because there's a lot out there. So I'm going to first talk about the one that I started with when I first started crocheting, and it was the Boye brand of crochet needles. And these are the ergonomic ones. They come in a set, or you can buy them individually. Now they're rather heavy, and they're metal needles, and they are comfortable, but they are heavy. This was the first one that I started using many years ago, but they didn't have the ergonomic ones. Now Bates also makes an ergonomic one that looks like this, and this is made by Bates. Now Bates and Boye are both metal crochet hooks. However, this one is not as heavy as this one. So they're both metal, but they're not as heavy. So these are the two brands that are out there. They're available at Walmart, Michael's, Joann. They're very available and accessible for everyone. And that's why these were the first two that I started with when I started crocheting. Now there's also these see-through lucite plastic needles that are also available, very accessible. They also come in knitting needle forms as well. And they are see-through, and they come in different colors. So this is a green one. I, many years ago, was into making my own ergonomic part of the crochet needle. So I actually used polymer clay, and I made this for myself. And I did this with a Boye crochet needle that was just plain. And you can buy those. And then I decided to use some polymer clay and make my own crochet needles. And actually you can find a lot of these on Etsy as well. Many people make these. I don't really make them and sell them. I just made about 7 or 8, and then I was done. So that's another brand. Now there's also wooden crochet needles. This is not as accessible as the other ones that I showed you. They're like this. They're wooden. They're light. And they come in different styles, and you could probably get these online at different yarn shops. So they're not as accessible as the Boye brand or the Bates brand. Then a few years ago, I went to a show, and I bought these really pretty decorative ones, and these are really heavy. And they're supposed to be like easy to hold. And these were the decorative ones that I purchased a few years ago. There's also the two-sided needles, oops, like this. These are harder to find. Etsy would be the place to get these, or eBay. And then there's large crochet hooks, plastic, for making large items that look like this. I also purchased a few years ago what is known as a lighted crochet hook, and it lights up like so, and it comes in this little kit, and it has different size hooks. And I bought this on Amazon maybe about 5 years ago, and these are very light, and they're ergonomic. And what's really nice is that if you're crocheting at night, you have a light. And then there's the Clover brand, which they just came out with these, I don't know, maybe they had them for a long time, but it wasn't very accessible when I first started crocheting. These are Clover, and they make different types. They have a metal type and then a plastic type. They're ergonomic. They're extremely light. So what do you choose? And how do you do this? So lately, I've been really into the Clover brands because they're so light. And not only that, but they're ergonomic, and it's very flexible, and it's easy for me to use these. So these have been my go-to crochet needles lately a lot. Now, I take these plastic ones when I go on a trip, only because if I'm going through the airport or I'm going on some kind of a trip, if I lose them, they're not that expensive. I can replace them very easily. At the airport, since they're colorful, you know, it's not going to go through the metal detector. They're not metal, they're plastic. So it's really nice for that. I don't have to worry about it. I wouldn't want to take my Clover needles with me on a trip in case I lose it, because these are more expensive than these plastic ones. And so I would be very reluctant to take these out of my house, actually, even to go to a night crochet along with some friends. I wouldn't let these leave my house. So the Clover ones are my go-to ones at home. But these are really great for traveling. Also, if you have children and you're kind of scared that your kids are going to get into your crochet needles, these are not bad either. I do have to warn you that if you have pets or you have children, they do chew on them. And I don't know if you can see this, but my dogs did chew on these a few years ago, but they still work. So I still have them. But these plastic ones are also safer around children. So, or if you want to teach children how to crochet, these plastic ones are really wonderful as well. Now, this one that I got at a crochet, at a craft fair kind of thing, a conference a few years ago, I have never used. I intended to use them. I thought they're so pretty and they looked ergonomic, but they're really hard to use. They're too thin for me. And they're not really that heavy, but I just did not find these to be useful myself. So they just kind of sit in my sewing room and they're just kind of look pretty. Or if I need something to poke with, I have two sides to use like a pointer. And I have a whole set of these, and I've never really been comfortable to use these with crocheting. Once in a while, I use the wooden ones, and I'll use the wooden ones for corner to corner crochet a lot. It really works very well with the corner to corner crochet. And for some projects that are fiddly, I will use the wooden ones. And again, sometimes I use these as pointers as well. If I need a something to point them, like when I'm sewing pillows or something. So these are really good. And I just have them in my sewing room. I have one set of these. The rest of these, the heavy ones, the Bates and the Boye, I usually take these if I'm going to go on a retreat, or I'm crocheting in the park, or I'm not at home. I'll take these with me. Not necessarily like a plane travel, going on an airplane and flying to another state or something like that. But just for if I'm doing a day trip, sometimes I take my crochet projects to the beach. Sometimes I take my crochet projects to the park. So these are the ones that I take, because if I lose them, I'm not so worried about losing them. And also these will be the ones that I'll just take anywhere I go. Whereas opposed to my Clover ones, I keep at home. And I only use my Clover ones at home. These big ones are great if you're going to make blankets. I usually don't take these anywhere. They're in my sewing room, and I'll use them for that. The lighted one is it actually has the kind that has a charger. This lighted one with the different tips is really great if you're crocheting at night and you need some extra light near you. And it's really wonderful. Sometimes if I'm crocheting in the backyard at night and I don't have that much light out there, I'll use this. It's summertime now. And sometimes instead of crocheting in the den or crocheting in the living room or something, or in my sewing room. I'll sit outside because it's really nice right now. It's summertime, it gets dark, and I can keep crocheting because it's lighted and it's really nice. So it's really good for nighttime use. And also you could take these on trips with you as well. But I am reluctant to take anything metal with me when I fly. That's why I take these, because it's just easier to get through the airports and stuff, and people look at you funny if you've got metal with the metal detectors or anything like that. So if I fly, I always take these with me. But if I'm taking a road trip, or I'm going someplace overnight or a few nights at a hotel outside my city, I will usually take these with me because I have all the size tips, and it comes in this little container. I don't know if it's still available. If it is, I'll put it in the description link. It's really cool to have. And I bought this on Amazon, and it has scissors in there. It has tape. It has these little scissors. I haven't even used it. And it also has these little tips that you can put on the handle if you want to change the color, but I liked it pink, so I left it that way. I'll probably never use these, but I just have them. And it also came with stitch markers. I don't really use the plastic ones, but it came in there. And there's also some extra replacement tips for different sizes that it comes with. So it was really good, and it wasn't that expensive. And I got this at Amazon maybe about 5 years ago. I'll look for it and I'll put it in the description link. I'll actually put everything I can in the description link. I do not know if I can put this in the description link. If I don't know the brand, what it is, and I just got it at a show a few years ago. But if I find it, I'll put it in the description link for you. I also buy all these cases to put my crochet needles in, and I store all my crochet needles in cases like this, and I have different design ones. You can get these on Amazon, and I will put them in the description link. This is for my Clover ones, and this is for the plastic ones. And this, I'll just put this in my suitcase, and if I'm gonna go any place, I'll put a ball of yarn and this in my suitcase, and I have something to crochet while I go on a trip and if I get bored. So what works for you is, how do you pick? Well, you can ask around. I definitely think if you're going to start the Clover ones today, if I started crocheting, because a lot of these I have, because I've had them for years and years and years, and I've just stored them in my house. But if I was to start, I would probably recommend the Clover these days, because I think that they're really well made. They're expensive, but they're well worth the money. If you cannot afford the Clover, then I would go with the Bates or the Boye, like the ones that I started out with several years ago. And you can find these at Walmart. You can find these at Joann or Michael's. Now, they do sell some with the Bates and the Boye, and I don't have any more, that are just plain metal. And they're really cheap. And you can add your own ergonomic piece to it with polymer clay, or do something like that if you want to be crafty. Or you can just put, many years ago when I didn't have these options, I did use those pencil, the pencil grips on my crochet needles, and they actually sell crochet needle grips too that you can put on. I don't do that anymore. So if price is an issue, I would say that the Bates and the Boye is really good. You could buy the whole set, or you could buy the individual ones. I would say if you're starting out as a crocheter, to buy one of each different brand. And the Clover is also accessible at Joann. I don't know if it's accessible at Michael's, but I do know it's accessible at Joann. And so I would just buy a few in different sizes and see how it works for you. I personally think this probably works with everybody, and it's really good. If you have little kids, I would definitely recommend that you get the plastic ones, especially if you have children that want to try it too. This is actually really good for kids. Like if your daughter watches you crochet and says, Mom, I want to give that a try. This is really good to use for children to crochet. So that's what I would use. If you have issues with eyes and seeing and you need extra light, I would definitely invest in the lighted ones. There's a lot of different ones. They have lighted ones where they have all the individual crochet hooks in the set, and each one is lighted. There's battery ones. There's just different types, rechargeable ones. I didn't want to get like a whole set of needles, so I like the fact that I can change the head with the kit that I have, and it has a little tool that I can use as well. So that's why I like this. But you know, if eyesight is an issue for you, and if you need light, definitely don't even bother with these other crochet needles and get a lighted one. Some people I know only use the lighted ones, and the wooden ones are actually very nice as well, but I just don't find these as useful as the metal ones. But again, I strongly recommend the Clover if you're just starting out, to give it a try and see how it works. But it is a little bit individual, and you have to look around and see what works for you. But this is just some of my feedback from years and years of crocheting that I thought would help you. There's vintage crochet needles on eBay you can buy. Maybe you can go, if you go to a garage sale. I haven't found one, but a lot of people I know have. At garage sales, they've found really pretty vintage crochet needles. You might want to get that. Sometimes for $1 at a garage sale, you can find them. You could probably find crochet needles at the Goodwill store or any thrift store. There's probably a section with vintage yarn and crochet hooks. So if you don't want to invest in a lot of money in crochet hooks, you might want to look at thrift stores. And some people have donated them. Church bazaars with thrift shops have them. Or maybe you know somebody that has an aunt who passed away and has a whole bunch of crochet needles. You can take theirs for those things. So there's a lot of options to get crochet needles, but what works for you is definitely going to be how you crochet, how advanced you are, and how comfortable you are with the actual crochet hook. There's actually really expensive high-end crochet hooks. Furls, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I have not purchased them, but they look like they're wooden crochet hooks, and they're very, very expensive. I have not tried those. I think I have enough crochet hooks to last me a lifetime at this moment. I have maybe about 7 of these all around my house. So with different sets in them like this. I have one in a bag that I take with me when I go to people's house and I'm crocheting. I have a backyard bag. I have one in my den. I have one in my sewing room. So I think I have enough crochet needles to last me a lifetime, but you never know. I might see something that's really kind of cute and pick it up. So give it a try, take a look, and whatever I can put from this, I will add in my description, and you can see what you like. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Created by Lady T.